Hello, courageous time travelers. I'm Cortney, and today we are journeying back in time to the glittering, cosmopolitan capital of China's Tang dynasty to meet one of the best horse painters in China's history. His name was Han Gan, and he lived around 700 CE. That's over 1,000 years ago. Han Gan painted horses for Emperor Xuanzong. Emperor Xuanzong loved horses, so much so that he owned more than 40,000. Holy horses! Can you even imagine? That's a lot of stables. And let's be honest, that's a lot of poop. He especially loved horses from Central Asia, which the Chinese called Tianma, or heavenly horses. They believed these swift and strong horses ran so fast they sweated blood. You are probably thinking, wait a second, they sweated blood? Well, the blood actually came from parasites biting under the horse's skin, but no one at the time knew about parasites. Han Gan painted a portrait of one of these spectacular, blood-sweating horses. His name was Knight Shining White, and he was one of Emperor Xuanzong's most favorite steeds. Let's dive in and take a closer look at Han Gan's portrait of Knight Shining White. Before we talk about the main steed of this portrait, you are probably wondering what all those bright red square stamps with Chinese characters in them are. These are the signatures of all the people that owned this painting over a really long period of time. You see, in China, people who collected paintings showed their deep appreciation for the artist by putting their name right on the painting using their personal seal, which is just like a stamp. Notice how many red stamps cover Han Gan's painting. The people who owned it must have really admired it. The cool thing about these stamps is that we can trace the history of the painting over time by identifying the people who owned it. Now, let's take a closer look at Knight Shining White. You can see he's tethered to a pole and doesn't look terribly pleased with this fact. Look at his expression. He looks like he's rearing back with his mouth open and his eyes are wild. He looks like he wants to break away from his tether. Han Gan has captured Knight Shining White's feisty personality. Han Gan was a traditional Chinese ink painter, and like all traditional Chinese ink painters, he used black ink using a Chinese calligraphy brush to create the form of this powerful imperial steed. Chinese ink painters use the same brush for painting that they did for writing. The black ink is water-based, so Han Gan had to plan this painting carefully before he put the brush to paper. Once you make a mark with water-based ink, you can't redo it if you make a mistake. Emperor Xuanzong was famous for having horses trained to do synchronized dances they performed on special occasions for the emperor. The Tang dynasty was a peaceful time, so strong and powerful horses that typically would have been used for military purposes danced in parades instead. Does Knight Shining White look like a dancing, prancing parade horse? Han Gan's portrait seems to suggest not. Or, if he was a member of the horse dance troupe, you can almost imagine Knight Shining White doing his own thing while all the other horses were synchronized. Perhaps the emperor loved Knight Shining White so much because of his strong-willed and unique personality. Knight Shining White certainly looks like a horse with his own mind, doesn't he? Han Gan's painting of Knight Shining White is one of the most celebrated horse paintings in Chinese history. Chinese horse painters who followed after Han Gan's time often reflected on how they could not compare to the great Han Gan and his brilliant and thought-provoking portrait of Emperor Xuanzong's favorite horse. That's all for today, travelers. Until next time, stay curious.